Alright. Usually I vamp a little bit more, but I think tonight is a night to just get right into it. Mostly because today is gonna be a long court day. February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 2. This is not a good sign for the beginning of this. This is a defendant lobby, alright. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if... that's probably Lana? No, it's Edward. Something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 777-7777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True. Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Gonna wrap up this case, yo. Yes. Hey, Katie. I say as if we weren't just talking a bit ago. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. Edgeworth, my dude, were you not there for your trial 2 months ago? Oh no, wait. You were, because you were the defendant. Time to work together with Phoenix Wright, boyfriend. This does have a little bit of those vibes. Even though, I guess because it doesn't have to touch on the deep underscoring past of the relationship from when they were goddamn grade schoolers. Look, Edgeworth was also ready to give up for that case too. Yeah, that's fair, I guess. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it. See, I like about the idea because you kind of see it in the Steel Samurai case. And you could say you arguably see it in the 4th case, but you can't really because Edgeworth is not the prosecutor. But this idea that prosecutor gets at that, like, if I go as hard as I can, and Phoenix goes as hard as he can, we have really hot gay sex. No, sorry, what I mean to say is we can come to what is the truth of the case, regardless of who wins or loses. Now, unfortunately, Edgeworth reveals this as his like final synthesis of the idea in the 2nd game. However, it's kind of underscored a little bit by the fact that I mean, I feel like everyone who watches this knows anyways. That's the one case that Phoenix, well, the one, I mean, he also loses in Apollo Justice. But that is the case he loses for the good of the fact that he ends up, that's the one defendant he has who's just outright guilty. So, I feel like here it works out better, where Edgeworth is trying to help you find the truth. It's always been a little sus to me that Edgeworth comes back and he's like, Phoenix, we must work together to discover the truth, that you will lose this trial finally and ruin your flawless record so far. It's like, I wonder, Edgeworth, is it the truth you care about? It is, but if I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. You could argue that is kind of the point too, though. I I think it's more the fact that he very much only shows up then for it and doesn't say anything before he can show up, just to blatantly win. Although, admittedly, he helps you the first day, so, you know. February 25th, 10 o'clock a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Edgeworth is not the most consistent Phoenix Wright character, as evidenced by the fact that if you remember how he was in the second trial, the game doesn't for the third trial and definitely doesn't by the fourth trial. Gumshoe, hey, remember when Edgeworth did all that stuff for you at the end of the third trial? I'm sorry, Gumshoe. No, I remember when he was trying to get me convicted for a murder he knows I didn't commit. Whatever. Phoenix is not allowed to hold grudges. Doesn't end well for him.
Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make.
Chief Gant. Wow, this is not suspicious at all. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Udgy. Been back to the pool yet?
No, I'm not drowning enough as it is in my work.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Will it save us trouble? No, nothing ever saves us the defense trouble. I arrived at Evil Grandpa. Hey, Captain. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished.
Well then, what's your request?
Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! The fuck? Lana is determined to make it as hard as possible. Yeah, really. You can't. I mean, you just did, but... Man, between last time and this time, we're getting in those early objections. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana? Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there is no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
This can't be happening.
It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
Oh man, I was worried this was gonna take a while. Yeah. We baited Edgeworth good. He can't help it now. He needs to get the truth. Also, Edgeworth, like, there's also the fact that, like, Edgeworth was going to win anyways. You're not going to get him on your side by making his victory more of a cheat, easy win. One moment, Your Honor.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature.
Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you. But why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut,
I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness.
Oh? To whom?
As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it.
Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant?
Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. In the bedroom now. Aw, sad Emma. Makes me a little sad. And now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dirk of the Joe Dirk killings. Is this correct? Yes? I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Really, like 2 or 3 more times, because, you know, Phoenix over there, he loves to press every single testimony. Pretty sure witnesses need that prep time, but also his Clown Shoes Court don't care. I mean, usually he does prep the witnesses, and in fairness, technically, we know Gant took Emma aside. I don't think he was actually, well, I mean, he was probably prepping her for her purposes, not Edgeworth's, but either way, it is still a Clown Shoes Court. They've ignored that other times. We've already cross-examined a freaking parrot that apparently Von Karma did prep time with.
Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman.
Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant?
Yes, it most certainly is.
Well, okay then. I won't ask you to elaborate at all. I'll just take your word for it.
He sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. In fairness, too, before you showed up, Captain, I was kind of bitching about this. This case also kind of accelerates a little bit the thing that Phoenix does. I really should have looked up when this version with this specific trial added to it takes place. Because in many ways, it does feel like it's written post at least the second game, if not the third one. 2 years ago, I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. I remember hearing this, yes, before I was pulled to Sleep Town. Sleep Town is important, though. I've heard it's next to Flavor Town. No. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination.
I do like the times when, because Edgeworth really has no idea. Like, he has a bit of an idea, but he doesn't have, like, all the clues to connect it together. So he really is hoping that Phoenix can get his shit together long enough to cobble together something. 2 years ago, I was waiting in my sister's office that day. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes, she was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. That is usually how Phoenix Wright works. It's almost always how he works, really, but there's a few aberrations. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Grant and this guy used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. Leaving explains the definition of only works well under pressure. Mood, really? I wanted to play it that day, too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. It was gonna be hamburgers. Nah. Actually, I don't even know if... Does baby kid Emma here even say if she has any food preference? Eventually we learned she has quite a thing for snack chips, but... A man came running in and took me hostage. A man? Yes, Joe Dirk. He was a serial killer. Joe Dirk was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his traps, he fled the room, right?
Upon fleeing the room, Dirk proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Neil Marshall rescued me. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning, Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in? I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dirk. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you should have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Hear more. Stop. I mean, let's hear more. What's the worst that could happen? Well, you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw. Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. Picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Well, let's ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Let me add this objection. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, and I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken. But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it. This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. This scene that imprinted an image in your mind, can you please describe it to us? The man. So, it's the other evidence list, I think, but we'll get to it in a second. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. That must have been a real shock. Even now when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Seems to have been lost. Which one is it? It's the evidence list, right? Yeah, it is. Okay. A picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I've got a very bad feeling about this. Mr. Edgeworth. 189. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. What the fuck, right? All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold. Okay, that was actually a little bit shitty of Phoenix, but also kind of funny, so I'll forgive him.
Mr. The evidence list for the Astral 9 incident.
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this?
Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Well, you see, Edgeworth, we obtained it in an illegal search of the chief of police's office. Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete.
Just don't tell anyone.
These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here, where they were torn apart from each other.
Okay, I know it's partially because the judge can see where they go together, but if the judge can notice that it was torn apart, how the hell did Edgeworth not notice there were obvious tear marks? This just does not add up. I don't even think on the judge critting with his abysmal check and Edgeworth botching, there should be something the judge could notice, even with a clue, that Edgeworth wouldn't just default notice. But you know, the plot will as the plot needs. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you.
What? What?
Order. But Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor.
Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth?
It's possible. Let's see. How the hell have I never looked at the back of this piece of paper?
There's something wrong?
Do you even have to ask?
Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing.
Oh no. 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 I was still playing with the old controls. You didn't have the DS functions to turn it over. Hey Dill. It all makes sense now.
That thing.
Rip it in half.
That thing that was dancing in the evidence room.
Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. Here's the time-traveling killer. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Evidence list restored and updated in the court record. List of evidence in the SL9 incident. Half of this list was found in Gant's desk.
Very well. Witness.
Okay, let's look at this real fast. Boop, boop, boop. Look at the blue badger descending from heaven to kill them. Why is it in heaven? We will never know. And it is definitely just that. Nothing else looks like that.
Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. The angel plays. Blue badger! I mean, it's the same syllable count. It just doesn't have the right sound, though, to really pull it off, though, unfortunately. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Emma's picture. One-Winged Angel, by the way, is a bitch to try to play on the piano minigame in the middle Final Fantasy VII Remake game. Scans with Sephiroth's theme, though. Not great, but it does. Yeah. Just mash up the two. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
I think a flash of lightning could put such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
You can tell Edgeworth is on our side because in like almost any other situation, any prosecutor would be like, well, then let's move on. There's nothing to contradict there. And Phoenix would have to be like, oh, I want to do my cross-examination thing though, please. And he'd be like, fine, let him do it. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later, the memory should still have been fresh in our mind.
Excuse me, witness.
Also, how many witnesses have we seen who are garbage with their testimony from like a day or two afterwards, and yet we're like, oh yeah, 14-year-old Emma Skye, she would have the perfect memory to draw this picture. In fairness, even 14 years old, Emma might have still been smarter than half the witnesses we've seen so far.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. So at the time you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue? No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. Just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? After that, I must have fainted.
You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Yeah, it kind of sucks, doesn't it, Phoenix? I remember earlier, you shit stain. But no, let me add to the objection counter. And this is kind of a fair reversal of earlier, where Phoenix was a little bit mean to Edgeworth, so, Edgeworth's returning the favor.
Anyway, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, this is the exact scene.
Wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I'd better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. Phoenix. He couldn't. Also, your salary is nothing anyways.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture?
Huh? Oh, well... Science Maya, get off the stand before you get your sister hung. Hey there. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Alright. Now, what the hell is the thing that's the contradiction here? Like, there's this here. Ah, okay. Cause of death, single stab wound piercing heart, lung. Assessment, died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. Weapon was found. Stabbed in the back. Is it Neil's autopsy report? I mean, I feel like this is what it's asking for. Alright, good. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us? What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
It's that he's facing forward, right? Would I click on him then? I assume I would click on him. Or... the other thing it could be...
because I will admit this is the other weird thing I'm noticing. Do you think you would draw a knife as a rectangle? I don't know. What do you two think? Because this could still be him getting stabbed in the back, right? Even though it's an awkward way of how it looks. But the idea could be he's about to throw him down. Oh, maybe it's the weapon I'm supposed to be. Because that does look kind of weird that it's just a rectangle. Admittedly, I have the life. I can get it wrong here. I think it's more the fact that it has to be something I can click on. And like, where would you click on a body to show it's the front? I believe it's the weapon, yeah. It makes way more sense if it's something you have to click on, it's the weapon, right? Because it's the one thing that's different. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
Well, I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
Edgeworth, please tell me you're setting me up with this, because you must already see what the problem is. That must be a really crappy knife. Oh, it was just well used and that was its time. It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Ah, what's the meaning of this?
Or the man had adamantium bones.
The knife was broken beforehand.
Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. Okay, guys, you gotta calm up with the objections here. Edgeworth was 195, Phoenix was 196. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right. But what does this mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken.
That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time? She was sure she remembered correctly. God, can you two not have your lover's tiff right here with all these objections? 197, 198. Although we're definitely clearing 200.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. You've forgotten already. That little something called falsified evidence?
You're treading on thin ice, right?
199. Now, if you take one of your two eyes and you manage to like flip it 180 degrees in your head, or you put on one of those lenses that will do that, then instead of 199, you could see 196 again, or you could see 169. So in a way, this is like 20% a return of nice, but not really. All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No.
Border. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, Please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King and Prosecutor's Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dirk along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dirk fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dirk. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I am not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being 2 broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dirk's. Could there have been one? I was mistaken. Oh, there is another one. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I will say, and this game doesn't always have this problem, but it does happen sometimes. I could see, like, that could have actually gone either way. Because the trick here is that it's not actually technically a broken knife, but a piece of a trophy we're talking about, right? But that piece of the trophy is in fact a broken blade in style, so you know. So sometimes you get these things where, like, in that case maybe both will actually progress it, maybe would have wanted one. In this case it worked what I said, so. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Now, do you think I need to present the trophy? Or do I need to present the picture of the not changed trophy? Oh man. The picture, I'm guessing? Yeah, it's probably the picture, right? Because if I present the trophy, there's just gonna be like, there's no knife on there. But you see what I mean though? Like, doesn't it feel like both of these are valid? And maybe both of them are valid? I think sometimes they do that, just not all the time. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here, inside this picture. This is a picture of... Oh. This is a picture of the awards ceremony. Ah.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Oh, it's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. Sure, we'll go with that. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dirk's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Border.
Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dirk, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. 200! Yup. Like, yes, this is partially, like, this is only because one of these is kind of extra, but also because I did all the pressing for all the dialogue. But I can't believe there are that many objections in just the first game. That said, I also think this is the longest one because of this additional case, so I guess there is that. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh.
But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything.
Witness?
Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back.
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. How convenient, Science Maya. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. The blue badger was there. He was watching it all. He knows all. Why do they keep using the blue badger music? All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Get him on the stand.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Will you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger. This should be interesting. Will it be interesting? Emma's recollection. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
The shadow of the blue badger stretches long. This is certainly most unusual.
Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Unless he's a time traveler.
Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Stop. Please, don't pursue this any further. Before I get too far. Uh-oh, Lana's trying to stop us. Lana?
What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When I saw that man raise his knife. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dirk? Yes. At least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports.
So then you...
I panicked and rushed toward both of them.
Why would you do something so dangerous?
What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall.
She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife.
Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've gotta help that other person. I think I knocked away the man with the knife.
What do you mean, you think?
It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur.
Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural.
I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife.
What you did was very brave, young girl. So then what happened next?
Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw Blue Badger.
You sure about this?
Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him here.
But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. That was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable.
I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember.
Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion.
Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing?
He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
Yeah, but maybe someone saw the picture, which means the Badger is Emma's fault. No! Don't blame her for the Badger. Man, could you imagine? Chief of Detectives was like, looking just to an evidence list. Oh, what's this drawing of? You know, this seems like the head of a police Badger mascot. So, the one thing I will say, blame Science Maya, but it's trio. Look, I will say, this would mean we would have to assume that the Chief of Detectives did his job and checked over evidence, even when he didn't need to. And as we've seen, born for murder. We've seen how competent that police department is.
He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face, with its winning smile and all?
That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. It is no, I actually like him, but I'm committed to the bit at this point. That's fair, Dara. I mean, I also feel like 202, 203. And Maya and Pearls later on, and honestly any of the assistants kind of suffer from this a little bit, where if you go for like all the dialogue, so you click on a lot of things and you're exposed to a lot of their stuff, they can tend to become a bit grating because the writers will throw a lot of jokes in with it, and when you do a lot of jokes, obviously not all of them are going to land. But I think like when you're defending Maya and you're getting her stuff with Mia, or when Maya's like trying to help you out in like the last trial with Edgeworth and all that, when there's the arc here, and like seeing Emma on the stand, this is when they become their most sympathetic. Like, I've always liked Emma, but like,
I would be lying if I said it doesn't break me up a little bit to have to be the one pushing her to think about this stuff. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger, really? Just might know, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm like 95% sure it's meant to be this thing. Right? I'm gonna go for it. I just might know? Blue Badger hadn't even been jumped up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day, 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badge. What the hell is Phoenix? Like, the build-up to this that Phoenix is doing right now. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Like, I know I'm like playing it up, but also the way it's written, Phoenix is being a goober right now.
Mr. Wright.
In this room. Very well, Mr. Wright.
He's stalling to think. This is true, that's a valid way of interpreting that.
What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike.
It was Bruce Goodman, Your Honor. It does help that we have, like, nothing else that is even close to that shape. The mysterious blue badger was, in fact, this.
But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar?
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed it...
Oh, I don't know why I was doing the judge voice for Phoenix right there. He's practicing his side job as ring announcer for his local wrestling promotion. I bet Phoenix would do a good job at that, actually. Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jur. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Our viewpoint?
I gotta show them the correct angle to look at this from. Why the blue badger music? Also the massive windbag, dramatic buildups for a reveal is fun. That's fair. Do, do, do. I don't have any got it anyways. Alright, oh, I was supposed to rotate it more. My bad. This isn't right. I gotta make it look more like the badger. Gotta tilt that boy back a bit. Yeah. Allow me to remind the defense its case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim. I've gotta find just the right angle. I wasn't looking to see that they wanted me to angle it back, but maybe I should rotate it vertically a bit more, horizontally.
Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it.
Gotta show them the correct angle to look at this from. I think that's more what they want there. Or is it more like this? Or do they want to actually like, no, it must be more like this, right? It doesn't help. Also, I will count that objection even though that's the second objection I've gotten from being wrong. Things just go through little gallons of water given how much he sweats. Or he does a lot of Gatorade. Actually, can I get this from the front too? No, I think they went it this way, actually, don't they? I think that looks more like it now that I look at it, yeah. Okay, no, it's the other way, okay. Then the larger base is further away. That's fine. See, this is the kind of thinking that, like, always throws me off some. Yeah, I guess that does look more like, if I look at it this way. Yeah. I guess I should count that one too, huh? Hope this is not too exact. Probably not, right? This is the worst part. I've got to make it look more like Badger. Oh no, I'm artificially inflating the objection counter. Do, 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 do. So, what way is it actually asking me to do this then? It's none of these. Because, like, it must be something like that, right? Was it more that I just didn't have it enough? Is that why? Like, does it want it like this? Did I have it angled too far last time? You know, it's funny too. I'm not sure if this gave me the same problems I had when I was a kid, but it might have. I'm not great with this kind of like thinking of objects in three-dimensional space and also just visual imaging like this. But also, I think like 4 of these have also been more than valid enough to work too. But clearly they want a specific right answer that is much closer than I'm thinking of. If only they could do what like other games do, where they give me like a percentage counter, the way it's like, oh, this looks like 80% what it should. Which is probably how it's computing it, honestly. Oh, that's not right. Okay. Till the top is barely peeking over. On the bright side, we know we hit 200, so like what, this? Or, oh, wrong way. Or like this. Like more like this? So wants it to be like this? Well, is this a miracle or what? Okay. Am I actually not wrong in that actually this is less of an overlap than the other one was? Some of the other ones? Oh, I see. When you visualize it and then you strip out some of the side parts, it definitely looks more like it instead of actually moving it around so it actually looks more like it has that angle going on. I get it. That is my mistake, game. That I didn't... Okay, you know what? I call foul here. I definitely had angles that looked just as good. Screw you, game. Anyways, now that I found the specific angle all you fuckers in the game wanted to see it from, no one can possibly deny this juror's resemblance to the Blue Badger. No, it can't be. Also, I mean the game, not any of you guys. I appreciate that you were trying to, like, you were sympathizing with me here. Even if I'm sure most of you probably would have had an easier time knowing what the game wanted, but... Border.
The fence has proven its claim after we gave it like 7 tries because we had a very specific angle we wanted to see it from. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this.
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? You motherfucker. I went through all that effort and you're trying to make us... I did that for 40 minutes. See, your mistake, Captain, was not having Katie to tell you the specific angle it wanted. I hate that badger. It's a loathsome badger. It's also the fact that... Because they deliberately designed it to have an annoying jingle, right? Like, that's meant to be the kind of thing that you like. It's bad ice cream truck music. Which, yes, I know that the ice cream truck song that most people are used to is a kind of old racist ditty. We don't need to go into that. The point being, that is like an even bad, like, it just sounds awful. It grates on your nerves. So to be stuck on that as you try to flip it to find the right angle. What do you mean, Edgeworth, motherfucker? So that badger thing was actually just a jur. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. 209. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us, what's different now that we know the witness saw this jur? The location, the murder weapon, the murderer. It's almost like there was blood on the vase. Yeah, really, right? What's there now that we know the witness saw this juror? I think it's that. We already know it's that. I mean, it ultimately has to be that, right? I mean, it might be all these things, really, because we know the juror is throwing. That's a location, I think. Oh, yeah? Okay. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, witness saw this juror. That's a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Because it was near the other desk or something. Near Gant's desk, you mean? That's true. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this juror? Well, the location of the juror is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Derek and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Also, like, the fact that this might work better in the original Japanese. I don't know how exactly it separates out things. But the fact that they had the same office. Admittedly, I do know sometimes people have, like, they'll say, like, this part of the room is my office, etc. But, you know, if it's a shared office, it's really more complicated than that. Why are you... I already got so many extra objections, Edgeworth, from getting the angle you wanted. Why are you adding more? I mean, it's the same office room. Exactly, Derek. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. 212. Man, at this rate, we might actually hit 250 object now. I'm hoping not. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
So you know what the reason was, Mr. Wright?
Look, that office is an organ the size of a small soccer field might count as too proper. I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now, tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
A suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. I love the fact that Phoenix has clearly not thought through what he is implying just now. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. It's okay. There's going to be a second part to this. We'll be able to work this out. Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility.
Are you all ready to accuse a 14-year-old girl of some accidental, a little bit of manslaughter? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. Trust me, I have no problems accusing a 14-year-old girl of murder. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Well, I think we know why Lana wanted to, confess to a murder she didn't commit. You mean Mr. Marshall died? Because of me? This has got to the Imperial Guard line of thinking. No. More meat for the grinder. And yeah. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this.
So it was the witness who took the wreck of his life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
Oh no. Oh no. Does that count? She's a prosecutor and she did an objection, but it didn't have a voice line. But we saw the text. Haven't sent science mind to the Penal Legion. Yes? Okay. Objection. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances. A Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. You certainly can't get dead people to testify. At least, not for 5 more games. Actually, no, that's not true. You get in the 3rd game, right? Is that ever actually testimony, though? Or can we? Look, I know at some point in this franchise it happens. Maya, get back here. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Humph. Touché, Miss Sky. I mean, it does come up 3rd game. Okay. I knew that kind of channeling happened. I just couldn't remember for sure that if it was in testimony or not. I was pretty sure it was when I thought about it, but... Touché, Miss Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean, there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean, the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another. You know, this classic thing that is almost never actually the case and is only used to frame people. Well, that's... Oh, sorry, wow. That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left for you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist?
Gotta think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. And like also, it feels messed up that he would write this note implicating Emma. Yeah. Yeah, because if you think about it, because like, we know from the earlier trial with DL6, Edgeworth's dad legitimately thought his son accidentally shot him, and his ghost lied to cover it up, right? Now, obviously, that's a dad for his younger son, but like, Emma's even told us that like she was on friendly terms with the brothers. But, you know, like, I will say, also, it is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Like, for as much as the first 2 days do faff about a fair bit, this 3rd one is, I think, why this case, like... Because when I always think about this case, I think, like, man, it is a really good standalone case in what it does. But my god, is it long. And I think it's because, like, it takes its time to get to, like, this point, but when it starts actually going for it, it finally just goes for it. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek. the truth, no matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that could raise a message from the deceased.
Well, I mean, he's gonna have left it in blood, right? What's the one bloody piece of evidence that we haven't done anything with? This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
I also forgot that that was why there was blood on this. But, you know. Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a juror. A message was left here, on the surface of this juror.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this juror. It looks like someone wiped the blood away, but did a really bad job. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood.
Yeah, like Toads, that's what that juror is. Look, the blue badger trauma runs deep for them. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines? Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away, but blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Oh god, really? Game? Just gotta connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Fine. How do I do this? Riveting gameplay. Such wow. Do I actually need to like finish connecting this? Do I need to go like here? No, okay. Get connecting, Chris. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Skye. Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark. It was UMA Sky. Captain, I think that's only... well, actually, no, Dill would get that now, too. But it's just mostly for us 3, but I still appreciate it. 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Objection. Yo, but if Gant just didn't, like, do anything, this would probably be the end of the case. Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's all of what... Oh, yeah, he was innocent. Like, that's all of what Case 4 really is, right? Like, if Von Karma had not cared enough about his reputation that he wanted to get Edgeworth in trouble, but he fabricates that whole thing to try to get them all killed, because obviously he wants Edgeworth convicted of murder so he gets executed. He does all that to try to clear it, and he gets caught, so, you know. Hubris. It's a good way to balance your villains. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. Oh, Gant is such a... Considering Phoenix Wright only works because everyone commits to their bits. Yeah, it's true. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
What's going on at the prosecutor's office?
They may assign an innocent man to his death. How could he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 Order!
I mean, I can deny it. The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued. Edgeworth has a job and he did that job. This is maybe one of the most astonishing things about this, because I feel like this is one of only like 2 or 3 trials in all the games where they act like prosecutors aren't legal gods that can get away with any shit they want. Like, you think like all the shenanigans Edgeworth can get away before this, or Von Karma does in the trial before this, or Franziska does where she whips everyone, etc., etc. But this is one of the ones where it's like, you know, sometimes the prosecutor has to do a lot. Okay, let's save. Oh, man. I actually don't think, being honest, I don't think I even remembered the fact that Emma, like the whole, like, Emma jar thing and all that. It's been a while since I've thought of this one specifically. So it's good that I'm revisiting this game. I'll take a small break, get a drinks, because this is, you know, fits nicely here. It's like halfway through. And we'll do trial ladder when I get back. So until then, back in a minute. Well, it's gonna be longer than a minute, you know. Back in a little bit of time. Let's see this one. 3650. The argument that, yeah, the police forged fake evidence 6 times over, but like, you presented the evidence you trusted the investigators gave makes it your fault. This is why Gant isn't a lawyer. I mean, he'd be a lawyer in the... Where the heck did I... Oh, that's where I put the controller. Man, that was sad. I mean, he'd be a lawyer in the sense that he just does what Von Karma does, right? Where he'll just say what he thinks and no one will stop him. But yeah, I do like both Mon Karma and Gant as villains. But the fact of the matter is, in terms of actually, like, they're not intelligent at all. They just kind of brute force their way through things. But yeah. February 25th, 12:06, District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. Oh, they are fun villains. Like, I'm a nitpicky bitch. Well, no, I think there's something to be said for wanting your villain to, like, be smart instead of just, like, something like that. Like, there's obviously, like, you can still be a fun villain without it. It is just kind of goofy that, like, as opponents like that, they rely on just cheating. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hoping I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run all around while on duty. To top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Man, autocorrect is just not letting you say Gumshoe, Darth. But yeah, Gumshoe, he will now be paid in Monopoly money. It really feels like it. It's just when the game is like, you must use logic to win the game, but the villains can use their form of alien logic, and somehow they got you in the audience. Is not like where I got them. This is fair. Gets a sledgehammer. I do feel like it almost works all right when at least Phoenix is your protagonist. And, I mean, in Apollo Justice too, I think Apollo and Athena have it too. Where, like, you use logic, but you use, like, I'm gonna fly by the seat of my pants and throw out dumb ideas until something hooks logic. I guess that might be why, like, people really like the Edgeworth one. And I've also heard that the second one's just really good, but it's never been officially released, and you know, maybe it is the best game in the franchise, but I always take that with a grain of salt when it happens to be one of the untranslated ones in the series too. Phoenix's maxed out luck. Oh yeah, it does feel like that. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? She was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law that only exist in this one specific trial. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. I don't know law stuff. You could at least study some evidence law, really. And look enchanted weapons. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Evidence law securely slipped into pocket. From Miss Guy explains the 2 rules of evidence law. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. Alright, excuse me. I know you're talking to me, Gumshoe, but I'm going to read for a bit. Rules for submitting evidence. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Phoenix Wright doesn't know law. I see he went to the Jeff Winger School of being an attorney. Like, it is astonishing that one of the things it actually establishes is that he did pass the bar exam. Well, with the Miles games, you're in the court of law, so like if someone perjures, it's not like a crime. They aren't on trial yet. Miles basically just detected. Yeah. See, this is the other thing that goes on my earlier bit too. where because he's investigating them directly, he gets to be more correct than when he goes into trials, and sometimes he's just having to try to prosecute the wrong person and thus has to lose for the truth. But no, it's not that Miles cares about being right most of the time. He definitely does. It's that he wants to find the truth. It doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Oh. Like in a trial, his case is made based on what Gumshoe finds. Now, there is technically a whole rest of the police department we're told about. It's just the fact that Gumshoe is sadly one of their better members, apparently. Which means the rest of them are really bad. Haven't you figured it out yet? Why, I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me. Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Oh, Christ. Your credibility has been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. At this point, what do we have to lose? Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Oh, is that all? Look, Phoenix has no idea what he's gonna do, but he's gonna try, damn it. February 25th, 12:52, District Court, Courtroom number 9.
Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth,
Yes, Your Honor.
the inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions.
Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Like, I will give Edgeworth this. That is how you respond to this shitty situation he's been forced into. Because it is definitely not fair, so you know.
Well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have,
Struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses?
I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and...
Oh, come on, Judge. This is some of the least cool you've ever been. Stop being a bitch. Very well, Your Honor. I have the solution.
A solution?
That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses.
What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing.
Okay, wait a second. Why can't the defense call forth witnesses? What is this nonsense? Oh, man. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Unless, of course, I've struck deals with Mr. Wright outside of here, but it's not like you've seen me talking with him.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say?
Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Oh man, I bet there are people that love that line out of context. Especially that it's the one that where Edgeworth is prosecution. I guess if you are pairing them, it would be Edgeworth who'd probably be the one who'd do the proposal, right? Like, that just seems like the right way of that happening. Oh, I guess it could be either way. I mean, you know, that's a whole thing with these kind of things, right? Like, it does, like, you usually go with the name that sounds better, but the flipping of who is the more dominant or who is the more aggressor one, you know? Anyways, I've digressed here.
But it's settled.
Depends on when it happened. This is true.
The feds, but I'll call forth the next witness.
Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Mike Meekett. No. Hobo Phoenix Wright would be the proposer. This is true. But Hobo Phoenix is also like... Oh man, it's so weird. Like, the Apollo Justice trilogy does so many weird things. It also, for me personally, kind of kills the idea of Phoenix being in a relationship with basically any of his love interests from the first trilogy. Just because I feel like both Edgeworth and Maya are really fucked up with what they let Phoenix do and what happens to him. Which, you're not meant to think that deeply about it, but... Your Honor, the defense calls Detective Goodman. Oh, that would be amazing, right? Get in here, Maya. We're doing this. I think the idea is you could argue like, well, maybe I need to bring Emma back in, or maybe I need to bring Lana. But they're like, the time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Well, it's the evil dude who keeps showing up. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. It's the cowboy.
Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything?
He had a knife. As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. The murderer is Hulk Hogan. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor?
All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand.
A witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh?
Please, Mr. Gant.
Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. What a shitty thing to do. Like, immediately throwing Emma under the bus. God, that's a good slimeball move. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? I'm not scared of weapons. I like the idea of big materia. I don't know what I'd use it with, but you know. Sorry, that was bad. Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true?
I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify.
Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you.
Very well. Witness may now begin his testimony.
As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery.
Is that when Doc was arrested?
Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Doc bumped his head. Man, the way that's presented, that would have been a badass move for a 14-year-old girl. She knocked out a killer and killed an innocent guy all in one shove. Like, that's an impressive, that's a crit athletics right there.
Well, I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut.
The police chief has the right to refuse to testify, and I'd better hit him hard and fast. Do you think that means I have to not press? No. Well, we'll see. If I'm supposed to not press things, then it'll just penalize me, and then I'll not do that. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. He might be one of those. It would make sense. As I recall, ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dirk and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Skye also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dirk ran for it. Okay. Alright. So if he is, it's only for later things. This one's pretty free. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right. But Dark made it to the elevator first, so Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden, and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. He's such a dick. Usually they'll be like, I have to be very careful and flash your HP bar. Yeah, that's why I felt pretty safe for it. I feel like they also, because there was the one time with Von Kermer, right? Where I think they just said to be careful, but I don't think it actually flashed the bar. But when I went to my office, I found Lana there. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor. Yes. Anyway, as you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy. Always the smooth talker. Which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence. That can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Alright. Oop. Half of this list was found in Gant's desk. Final found in Chief Gant's safe. Oh, this must have been after the fact, so I'll go with this one? Okay. Oh man, I haven't had to hit objection in a little bit. I should have counted how many times I had an extra objection from Edgeworth for that freaking stupid rotate the juror. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. I have this illegal evidence I found in your office. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example.
That's the blue badger you showed us earlier.
For fuck's sake, Judge, we are not doing this right now. Like the jar could be a forgery. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. Okay. So I think I think either one of those probably would have worked then, if Phoenix mentions both.
That was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. You asshole! I've beaten Edgeworth 2 times in court. And I'm beating him right now, kind of. I mean, he's helping me out a lot in this one, I guess, but still. No. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who? Me? Or do you mean You. Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Oh, shit. No, the obvious loophole in my scenario. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. How does he know what happens in the fourth game? But no. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right? Righto. However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Oh, Edgeworth, I don't think that's the defense you think it is. I appreciate him trying, though. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying the work.
As well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and in relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put 2 and 2 together. Evidence and forgery. Let's see. What was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor?
when investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol.
Okay, but Judge, I shouldn't have to investigate crime scenes. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh. Indeed. I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again.
My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? The day is, well, you know.
All right, Udgy. In return, though.
I know. That place, right?
What are these guys, telepathic? Judge, look at how evil his face is. Look, they are clearly discussing, like, going out to eat together. in a, like, you being bribed sense or something, but, Not that they're going on a date. Although, if they were going to go on a date, that'd be fine. Judge can get some wherever he gets some. I'm just saying, didn't read that way. That's not what I was implying. Evidence and forgery. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. I'd appreciate if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? What am I about to read for you, Phoenix? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped...
But, Mr. Wright, what are you saying?
What is he saying? Why has Phoenix gone cow tipping? And what is the crime he discusses in Japan? Some of my best judge friends go on dates with the chief of police. Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later.
Later? What are you talking about?
What else? I'm talking about when Raito's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal.
Never faced anyone as slimy as this guy.
Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered.
What do you mean by that?
This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery.
If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery.
I'm not through speaking yet, Righto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered.
A little while since we had an objection there. 217.
If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless.
Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation?
It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced.
Man, you know Phoenix is into it because he almost never does these kind of objections to when people are testifying. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The chief is talking about a possibility. So long as you can't rule that out, your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know.
Come now, Righto. Think about it.
Alright. Add to that. 218. Man.
There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery.
Whoops. How can you look me in the eye and say that?
Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil?
I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye.
Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this.
Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit?
That would of course be the position you have. Chief of Police. Duh.
Well,
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive.
Ho, ho, ho. Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you really think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean?
Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable. A little.
Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Ah.
Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at.
So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else.
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Pudgy, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little?
Oh, by all means, please do.
I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me.
Nothing in it for you?
Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, wasn't. If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again.
You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone.
Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised.
You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though.
Oh, that's a good one, Worthy.
Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out?
No, point out accomplice.
Well, I mean, he's saying that he only looks out for himself. But if helping someone out would help him, point out accomplice. True. You may not help out anyone for their sake. But if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean. Judge, why do you help the bad guy every time?
Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Grant may have helped forge evidence?
Who's the person we know forged evidence?
Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets?
My judge, my dude, please, focus the fuck up.
He plays with puppets?
Thank you. When even the audience is not on his side.
Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her.
Right ho, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something.
What?
Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing?
Lana? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma.
There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture.
Unless that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Or which one would that be?
Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her.
Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement.
What? What? Order. I said order. Mr. Wright, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail by murder, that is impossible.
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. Phoenix, come on. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, the high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder?
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. All right then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got. That had better be good. What was this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman?
Oh, wait. We never put down that was Gant's number. But I think we can... That's gonna be what we're doing, right? Ask her.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777.
Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number.
It's your number.
What? How do you know that?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7 sevens. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. This feels like such a weak thing to be when it starts turning around. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen his nervous sprite, but his also evil-looking nervous sprite, where he's clenching a fist in anger. Yeah, but turn it up. I mean, I could do that, but then I would probably lose the balance. Music time.
Order. Chief Gant, what do you have to say?
Nothing. The defense's search of my office was a violation of regulations.
And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. Right now, This court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant, will you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime?
What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? Go up to 220.
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Grant on the day of the crime.
So, I didn't realize until just this moment what they're getting at here. Because I think it was it the chief of detectives who had that line that he told us about that? Or, it might have been like the just random police officer. But, where is the, Goodman's Lost Line report? Having document date 221 can only be submitted to the chief of police. I actually forgot that was relevant until it was like, well, why would he have to have met with Goodman? Oh, right. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
He needed to?
Yes, to transfer the evidence out.
Oh.
Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him. There's no other way that the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly.
But wait, the chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body.
No.
Also, they give him, like, the most evil, like, boss losing it sprite. Like, what the hell? As he becomes, like, exploding with electric evil energy, like...
Chief Grant, you did it.
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. It's pretty cool that Edgeworth gets it out of him. Yeah, they do a pretty good job letting, like, Phoenix and Edgeworth both, like, tag in and go back and forth with this one. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office's parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? Also, look, objection 222. Which, I mean, we're only this high because of the freaking Blue Badger shenanigans, but whatever. I'm not gonna let that get to me anymore. I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Well, everyone except me, it seems. Phil, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space.
How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence.
To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Useless piece of evidence? Oh, okay. That's right, that's right. Like, why is this random thing? Okay, yeah. He got Edgeworth to do it for him, of course. Duh. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... Ah, you motherfucker. I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Oh wow, look at that. Oh my goodness. It's been a little bit while since I've had some bots like that happen. And that was a weird time for that to happen. If I remembered I had powers on how to use them, that's okay. We got to have Phoenix being all dramatic here over the body was moved by that car. It also makes me happy because, like, for all of these streams, I do have an internet tab open just in case I need to do something like that, because I've never figured out how to do it using just OBS's chat window. Even though I'm pretty sure there's easy ways to do it, I don't know.
Detective Goodman's body. was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief? Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye.
Order! 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 What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Miss Sir took at the Think back to the photograph Miss Sir took at the prosecutor's office. This was... Okay, in my defense, if I'd read that straight, that would have... This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Chief Grant, please, say something.
I believe your time's up.
My time's up?
Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. 2, 2, 3. This cheating bastard. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? Well, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. 2, 2, 4. I stabbed old Goodman? That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor?
Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Grant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body?
Do I have any concrete proof? Present evidence. I have no proof yet.
It...
Okay. Okay. This has gotta be a trick, right? This is the evidence law thing, right? So I probably don't have proof yet because it's not legal evidence yet. Like, they started this trial ladder period saying that. This must be the gimmick for this moment. Yeah. Oh, or maybe not. It's fine. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence.
Humph. See, Aji? In that case, well, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief.
Uh-oh. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you. Aji vanished, no!
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Well, I mean... What? Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth? What do you mean?
Okay. That's kind of funny though that they show like they're gonna penalize you before Edgeworth does that. That's kind of mean.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. Your Honor, the defense calls the anthropomorphic personification of chance. Oh man, that should happen in like the 7 Days Attorney game, if that ever happens. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth. But we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth... Angel start... No, thank God, no. I mean, it kinda has to be.
The defendant, Miss Lana Sky?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day.
Oh no.
In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in
Oh, okay. Someone says hold on.
Huh?
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Chief Grant, I thought you were going to eat.
Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. He's threatening her in court. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. That was a threat. Yeah, like, what the fuck? He's doing this in court in front of everyone. Ah, this isn't good. Like, at the very least, he could have done this outside, when the judge is not right there. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then. Well, I've got a lunch date to meet. Judge, my dude,
Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess.
February 25th, 2:04 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks for your help, Edgeworth.
Well, that chief, he's something else, eh, pals?
Detective Gumshoe.
Ha ha ha. I'm not a detective anymore.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Ah, don't worry. I've already decided where to work now.
At your office. Oh my god, that would have been amazing. Why can't we get... Oh, I mean, honestly, Phoenix couldn't afford to pay him. My office?
Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with.
I'd like to pretend that Gant has dirt on Judge too, otherwise, my god. That would have been great, though. It would have been great. Could he mean Maya? No, we've established this. That is, that's Spirit Emma. Phoenix joke's on you. I can't afford to pay myself. Really feels like that.
Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gan's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand?
Well, I think it helps that he can threaten someone in court in front of everyone and get away with it. It's not fair, he has the right to refuse to testify. Yeah, that also doesn't help. Also pretty illegal. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said.
Well, Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. Is this Emma? Or is this Lana? I think it would be more Lana, not Emma, but maybe it is Emma, I don't know. Someone's saying you mean he forfeits his right to say anything too. Ah, it is Emma, okay.
You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too?
Emma, are you okay? I accused you of murder like 2 hours ago. Well, you know, manslaughter.
Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery.
So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before.
No, don't be. It was the truth. I've killed men. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Like now that it's out there in the open, I can revel in it.
Relieved?
Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all. Just to protect me.
Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her.
What do you mean?
What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside. To force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold.
It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
Gumshoe. Look, he's trying. It's the best he can do.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor.
I see.
Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act.
Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth.
Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Oh my god. I forgot this final day was 3 parts. Holy shit. Trial ladder 2. Wolfish used ad block term stream boo. Oh, that's a good thought. Thank you, Bubs. Oh man, I don't. I don't have time for this. Oh man. Like, if that was just that day going longer, I could maybe go a little bit longer, but if they separate it out entirely, uh no, I don't have time. Especially because this might be the longest of the three parts too. So considering this is almost 3 hours, we're probably looking at like another hour, maybe another hour and a half. Yeah. Nah, I think I have to call it here. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll have enough energy after we have game tomorrow. And I assume Final Fantasy 9 stream. Because I don't think this is going to be long enough that I could knock this out in that time. Like, this shouldn't be longer than 2 hours, and it shouldn't even be that. I just don't think I have time for this now. But, I mean, I think we got through the majority of it. Like, we got through the big twist that it seems like maybe Emma is the killer. Thanks for the stream. Oh, yeah. Thanks for saying thanks, Darth. Um, we have the whole thing where we're like, I mean, we kind of already knew Gant was blackmailing Lana, but it's out there now. We're working towards it. Um, I do. I was saying this earlier. I will reiterate before I wrap it up for now. I think this is when this trial gets very good. And like, Gant's a filthy cheater like Von Karma, but also like Von Karma, he has this presence. And he just is such a bastard. And I honestly think he's better than Von Karma, at least in the sense that like Von Karma so quickly shuts down stuff. He doesn't revel as often. Um because in many ways, just as a person, Von Karma is such a perfectionist and he's so like broken up about it. Versus like Gant's just more comfortable in his own skin and being a scumbag in that sense. But yeah, at least as a viewer, Phoenix Wright feels most fun when Wright and Edgeworth are working together. Yeah. And I do think Phoenix and Edgeworth is when they get it the so I really like this case. Yeah. Because that's the other thing that the last case can't really give you because Von Karma is the one doing that. And it's not just Phoenix and Edgeworth. Like, I always feel like when it is the defendant and prosecutor bouncing it back, it works best. Um, Usually, I do have some opinions when it comes to an Apollo Justice, the fourth game. But I feel like in the fifth game, they kind of have another really good balance with that. In the sixth game, it has moments. But either way, I will wrap up here. Thanks for hanging out. We're almost done, though. It's been fun to go back to this, even if the Blue Badger is an awful hell beast and will haunt all our nightmares collectively. Also, again, future time Edgeworth comes back, continues that trend for the most part. Yeah, this is true. It banks on that nostalgia a bit too. But yeah, good night, everyone.